So in this video, I'm going to go through and show you guys all of my settings, which I think are the most optimized. Of course, there are some things that could change. Everyone is different, so one thing that works for me might not work for you, but this is everything that I think is going to be the absolute best so that you can actually get better at Siege. So we're just going to go right in order, the general, HUD, audio, etc. Starting off with general. The first thing that stands out to me is going to be the stun VFX. You have the white glare and the dark glare option. This is actually kind of a new thing. I would say turn on the dark glare. It's going to be a lot more easy on your eyes and you're going to be able to adjust a lot more easily because that white glare is going to be so unbelievably bright like a normal flashbang would be. And then the dark glare is going to be just all around much easier. For diffuser pickup, I have it on both. Pretty much what this does, you can either pick up the diffuser by walking over it or just by, going up to it and holding X or whatever your equip button is. If you're in a sticky situation, your teammate gets dropped and they drop the diffuser with them, you don't want to have to, run up to them and stop and then press X and then run back. Like, you want to be able to have the option to, but it's a lot easier just to run over it. So that is why I have it equipped to both. I have the visible throw trajectory on just because, it's not hurting anything. If anything, it's just going to give you a slight advantage, if anything. So some people have too big of an ego to have this on, like, oh, I know what the trajectory is. I don't think it's ever that deep. If it helps you, it helps you. Drone after prep, you need to have this set to manual. You'll see this happen, like if you're droning and you're being chased by some defender, and the prep phase is about to end, it goes to 0 seconds, and the defender is able just to shoot your drone because you get kicked out of the drone. You don't want that to happen. Like, you want to be able to control when you go out of your drone. You don't want the game to control that for you. So you're going to want to put that onto manual. Now we'll move on to the HUD. I basically have everything on. So as you can see, everything is on besides for teammate gamertag. This is a little bit of a personal preference. Some people might want to see, like, if you want to call out like, hey, blank, you need to, do this or something like that. I don't know. I just don't like having the gamertag on the screen. It feels a little bit clunky to me. I feel like if I could reduce as much as I possibly could on the screen so I can just focus on holding my angle and not have to see whoever's name pop up next to me, then I'm gonna do that. So this is one of those things that's definitely personal preference, but in my opinion, I like having the gamer tag off. And everything else is pretty much the same, just on, nothing all too special there, just the gamer tags. Now for audio, I have subtitles on, but this does not matter at all. What does matter is the dynamic range. So I have seen a lot of different things about people having different preferences. It's mostly between hi-fi or night mode. If you are going to choose, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to vouch for night mode, but hi-fi is totally understandable. Don't use TV. TV is just awful. Hi-fi is basically giving you clarity between the sounds, being able to tell like perfectly the difference between the sounds. Night mode is going to really kind of expand all the sounds so you can hear things a lot louder. I think personally that that's exactly what I want. I'd rather be able to hear the quiet sounds than be able to tell the difference between the quiet sounds, if that makes sense. So that's why I run with night mode, but hi-fi is understandable also. Got to make sure all your volumes are up besides for the music volumes. If you like the music, that's cool too. I just don't like to have anything super unnecessary. So music is down, everything else is pretty normal. Now we'll move on to display. You're going to want to make sure your VSync is on. Otherwise, you're going to have tearing, which is basically like where your screens, I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, like the FPS is all messed up. Your screen literally just tears. So VSync is going to be the best thing for you. You could also have your game be prioritized to performance. This is obviously going to be the best if you're really trying to be competitive, but you can get that tearing. It's not going to let you prioritize performance if you have VSync on. So for me, I just bite the bullet. You can't really tell all that much of a difference in my opinion. So I just turn VSync on. I don't want any tearing and I keep my resolution prioritized. Field of view is definitely important. I run it at 90 because I'm used to it. You don't really need to run it at 90. Like, you can run it like at 80 or maybe a little bit lower than that. Either way, you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage if you have it anything less than 80. You literally just can't see as much. Your field of view is smaller. That puts you at a disadvantage. And in a game like Siege, literally any small thing that could give you an advantage could be the difference maker. Your HUD display area, your menu display area is just up to your own setup. And then brightness, I like to run mine pretty bright. A lot of the maps can be pretty dark. It'll be hard to tell the difference between, you know, a wall and someone wearing a uniform that is dark and it's the same color as the wall, if that makes sense. So, I mean, as you can see, it's harder to distinguish. I mean, look at Sledge all the way on the left. You can hardly even see Sledge there. You could maybe put it down a little bit, but this is just kind of where I like it. I like to have the most possible brightness and clarity that I could possibly have. Now, controls, I disabled vibration just because, I mean, if you're in a gunfight and an explosion goes off and, you know, your aim slightly gets thrown off by that because of the vibration, you don't want that at all. Gadget deployment, you're going to want to put it to advanced. Pretty much anything in this game that has the opportunity to be either standard or advanced, you're going to want it to be advanced. You know, there's a reason why they give you that advanced option. You want to be able to cancel any of your actions. That's exactly actually what this is for. Your gadget deployment, you can cancel the action because once your deployment stops and you're on standard, you can't cancel the action. Same thing with drone deployment. You're going to want to be able to have it on advanced. You don't want to automatically enter your drone. Like, imagine if you're trying to throw off a defender. So you throw your drone across the corner and then the defender swings you because they think you're droning, but you're actually ready for it. You weren't in your drone and you're able to pick them off. But if you were on standard, you'd automatically get thrown into your drone and you're not able to do that, you know? Leaning behavior, have it on alternate. For my sensitivity, I run it at 50-70. This is probably a little bit high. Obviously, this is more tailored for controller players, not PC. But you want to have your vertical a little bit lower than your horizontal. That's kind of just like an FPS guideline, I guess. Yeah, and then your dead zones for your sticks, you pretty much always want them at 5%. And then your trigger dead zones, you don't really want them to be higher than 0. Controller ADS is really just entire like personal preference, how you're able to control the ACOG versus the 1.0 times scopes. So I would say for this, just get into the shooting range, test out all of the different magnifications on the scopes, see what feels the best for you. Obviously, it has to be something that feels reasonable compared to your normal vertical and horizontal sensitivities. And as soon as you figure this out, you put in the 10 minutes in the shooting range to figure out what the best ADS sensitivities are for you. You're going to see a pretty big, you know, difference in your game. A lot of people don't want to take that 10 minutes to figure it out, but it does make a pretty monumental difference in your aim and then, of course, your ability to win more gunfights. Everything else on your controls you shouldn't really be messing with. This is kind of all just your default stuff. And then accessibility, want to make sure that your optic color, in my opinion, it should be either red, purple, or green. Some people like to run white. There's even some crazy people out there that do black or blue. It's just don't, you know, just do the colors that are going to be really easily distinguishable in any map. If you had the white and you're looking at a white wall, you're not going to be able to see the difference between your optic or the wall, you know what I mean? So having a color like purple or red or green where you know you're going to be good, you know you're not going to see any red or purple or green walls, it's just the best possible scenario. Your opacity, I just run it at 90. You want to make sure that it's enough to the point where you can slightly see through it so that you're not entirely blocking off a circle of your target. But you also don't want it to be so low that you literally just can't see the optic at all. Screen shake, just turn that off entirely. That is just giving you a complete disadvantage if you have it on. Motion blur should be off. It might not affect you, but for some people, it really does help a whole lot. And that's just about everything in the whole entire setting. So let me know if you guys think I missed anything, what your settings look like compared to this. It's not like there's anything all that special about these settings. These are very, very basic settings, but just being able to have a nice foundation is going to help you guys out a whole lot, especially for the players out there who are newer or you're just trying to get better at the game. So thanks so much for watching. And besides for that, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.